Mother 3 is a fantastic game. I played it all the way through a second time recently, and it genuinely has one of the greatest stories I've ever experienced in a video game. I said that it was my favorite game of all time, and even better than Earthbound in a video some years ago after I played the game all the way through for the first time, but I feel like I jumped the gun a bit too early on that. I've played Earthbound countless amounts of times compared to just that one time I played Mother 3 back then. So yeah, I think at least a few more replays of Mother 3 are required before I give it the best game I've ever played title, but anyways, why am I discussing Mother 3? Because I came across this article from NintendoEverything.com recently, and it kinda sorta pissed me off. It's titled, Mother 3 was considered for Western digital release, possibly using Japanese version. Former Nintendo of America president Reggie Fils-Aimé has opened up about Mother 3, and specifically how the title has never been made available in the West. Reggie released his new book today, and the audio version contains a bonus interview with Jeff Keighley. At one point, Keighley asked if Nintendo felt it just wasn't worth bringing over. Reggie said in response, "The initial decision not to launch the game had happened before I joined the company. But certainly afterwards, I had many conversations with Mr. Iwata about this game, about the fan passion, and certainly the perspective was the first game on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System had not sold all that well. Certainly as I've gone back to look at it, the marketing wasn't great. I think it was marketed in some bizarre way like this game stinks or something like that. It really was not the best marketing activity behind the launch of a new game. Because it hadn't sold well, because yes, there's a lot of time and financial investment in localizing this type of content, it just really wasn't a priority. And then when it's at the point where we're putting all of our effort on Nintendo DS and games like Metroid Prime Hunters and Mario Kart for DS and Pokemon for DS, it really just was not a strong business priority. But boy, the game journalists had to ask me every single time. There was a serious conversation during the Nintendo 3DS days, and as we launched the Wii U, that we should look at making the game available digitally through our digital storefront, because at that point, the production and distribution costs are the minimus. We already had conversations about having a group of games that were not localized, that it was the pure Japanese game made available, and we did that for a number of titles. They did okay. Mr. Iwata and I had that conversation about Mother 3. What ended up happening is that we launched the first Mother game called Earthbound Beginnings on the Wii U eShop. There's a sense of conversations that were happening in the thought process, and who knows, if Mr. Iwata had not passed away, if maybe the Wii U had done better in the marketplace, maybe the Mother 3 game would have made it at that point. So there were certainly conversations, but it would have needed to have been done right away. So we could have gotten a localized Mother 3, but it would have been the Japanese version on Western consoles. Nintendo. That would have been real swell. Here's that game you've been desperately wanting a Western re-release for fucking years, but here's the Japanese version of said game. It's a safe bet that most people who play on Western versions of consoles don't speak Japanese, don't fluently read Japanese, but tough shit. You wanted the game, and you got it. I understand it takes time and resources to translate an entire game, especially one as text-heavy as Mother 3. But hey, Nintendo, guess what? Fans did the work that you couldn't have been fucked to do, and translated the entire fucking game in English. I think the fan translation team has even said before that they're willing to give their translation over to Nintendo for entirely free even, I think. And look, I know, complaining about no Mother 3 localization is very counterproductive with the fan translation out there. It is so easy to access this game and play it in English. You could play it on your computer, your phone, hell, you could even buy a reproduction cartridge and play it on your Game Boy Advance to get the most authentic experience. I personally bought a repro card to play on my Game Boy player and my GameCube. And I know, there's a risk with that format. Repro cartridges can eventually start to fail and not save anymore, but even still, it kicks the shit out of playing the game on a shitty iPhone emulator again. Oh god. But anyways, I think it's time to abandon all hope for an official English Mother 3 release in the West. I mean, never rule out Nintendo releasing the Japanese version on a Game Boy Advance online service if they ever plan to do that on the Switch, but really, how many people are gonna play that? If one doesn't know a lick of Japanese, I highly doubt they're gonna start learning an entirely new language just to play a fucking video game. It would just create a barrier in front of people who want to finally play an official Western release of this game. And the only reason I still care about this game getting an official release in the West in English is so more people can experience this amazing game. Not everyone gives a fuck about emulation, like myself. Not everyone is going to go out of their way to buy a repro card, and possibly even also have to get a Game Boy Advance, or a Game Boy player for their GameCube, or a DS that can play Game Boy Advance games to play this game on. I just want this game to be available to a wider audience, man. I mean, the Switch is one of the best-selling consoles of all time. Maybe it'll even dethrone the PS2 one day. Who fucking knows? I wouldn't be entirely surprised if it continues to stay on the trajectory it's in. I'm sure there are a lot more people than you think who would otherwise not even bat an eye towards this game unless it got an official release on the Switch. And that makes me sad. Even sadder than this game's story. But like I said, I don't have much hope at this point, and it's a fucking travesty. They could take the fan translation, make any edits to the dialogue that they please, they'd probably take out the swearing, knowing Nintendo. And they'd probably change the title as well to like Earthbound 2, or Earthbound the Continuation, or Earthbound the Sequel, or something dumb like that. I'm still not very keen on Earthbound Beginnings for the first game, by the way. I don't know why they didn't just stick to Earthbound 0. I still like calling the first game just Mother 1, but anyways, I'm fantasizing at this point because there will probably never be an official Western English release of this game, but I am more than happy to be proven wrong. If a Game Boy Advance online service is unveiled in like a month from now and they announce an official Mother 3 release in English, you can thank me, because it happened with my other video, where I said, why don't they release Earthbound and Mother 1 for the Switch finally? And then like a month later they announced Earthbound and Mother 1 for the Switch. You can thank me for that too. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.